Hey guys, so it's been quite a while since I've done an update on the old 4Runner. In about the last 8 months or so, quite a lot has happened. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is a 2003 V8 four-wheel drive 4Runner, and right now it's at just over 185,000 miles. As far as maintenance since the last time I did a video, I've had to replace all the calipers due to the notorious rusting, sticking calipers that these have. I've done front sway bar end links, I had to do the rear shocks because one of them broke off. And I've done the timing belt and water pump. Other than that, it's been extremely reliable, and all of those things I think are fairly reasonable, except the calipers, but that's just sort of part of the territory with one of these vehicles. Now, getting into the modifications I've done since then, I've actually done quite a lot. So we're going to go ahead and start at the front and work our way forwards. Right here you can see I have these big beefy toe points. They're from Apex Overland. It took me a real long time to get my hands on them, but they are strong and I am super happy with them. I have also gone ahead and put in some Bilstein 5100 series front shocks set to the 1.75 inch lift level, and I'd say it levels out the rig almost perfectly. I've also put on these 265/75 R16 BFG KO2s in load range E, so that's about a 32 inch tire. To make them fit, I just had to remove the front mud flaps, and then I drilled some new holes and scooched this fender liner forward in the bumper about an inch, and it fits perfect with absolutely zero rubbing. Now, it already did come with some wheels that are offset a bit, so that may be making rubbing worse and maybe making it better. I don't really know, but for my purposes, it all fits really well. I've also gone ahead and put on these heated and powered mirrors from a limited model that I found in the junkyard, since my stock mirrors were just powered but not heated. Of course, I got them after winter, so not doing me any good now, but it's pretty nice to know that I'm going to have it when winter comes along again. Now, unfortunately, I did break my windshield trying to install a auto-dimming mirror, so I had to get this new PGW one. I've had it for a little over a week now, and I haven't had any issues. It doesn't leak, and it fits great, and haven't managed to chip it yet, despite it being hit by several rocks going down dirt roads. I also have a CB setup. I'm using a CBI ditch light bracket, as well as various fittings and things to mount this fire stick antenna on a spring and a quick release, which is extremely handy so I can still go through car washes and fit in the garage and things like that. The one issue of body rust I have is here on the hatch, right along the top by this window seal. Last year it was all hidden under the seal, but now it's starting to grow out. So I am actively looking for a new hatch, but it looks like they're pretty expensive, so I'm hoping to find a good one in a junkyard sometime. I also went ahead and put on this Class 4 hitch from the junkyard, so now my 2003 V8 is good to tow the 7,000 pounds that the later model years are good for as well. Now, talking about rust, in the last video I said that it wasn't too bad, and really in a lot of areas it isn't, but there are a few key areas where it is pretty bad, and because of that, my current goal is to replace the frame this fall. I'll show you the areas that I'm talking about. Right here, we're under the passenger side door. We've got a little bit of rot through on the side of the frame there, and then a good bit underneath. And then if we go around to the front by where I showed you that tow hook, we have the notorious radiator support rust. Now, none of this rust that I've shown you so far particularly concerns me, except the stuff on the side of the frame rail. The bottom of the frame rail I'm not concerned about because it's the vertical members that are carrying the most load. But the issue that concerns me is here. We've got some rust by the rear control arm mounts. Of course, that is going to cause issues in the long run. Now we've covered the exterior, there's been a few changes into the interior and then under the engine bay, so let's check that out. I did forget to mention, I also got a set of skid plates from a junkyard truck and painted them up because mine didn't have them when I bought it. They must have been taken off and lost for an oil change at some point. So it's not really an upgrade, but it's a really nice thing to have. Under the hood, I just wanted to briefly talk about maintenance. When I did my timing belt, I of course changed all the coolant. And then when I did the brake calipers, I went ahead and flushed out all the brake fluid so it's all fresh. One thing that a lot of people don't do, though, is change the power steering fluid. Oftentimes you look at your power steering reservoir, the level's up at where it's supposed to be, and you call it a day. There's two issues with that. One is fluid quality, and two is fluid quantity. It might look like there's plenty of fluid in there, but in many cases you'll actually open it up and see that there's not nearly as much fluid as you think, and the mark on the outside is just some caked on residue. This power steering in this particular vehicle is supposed to be ATF, not regular power steering fluid, and when I changed it out and flushed it out with all brand new fluid and cleaned out this reservoir, the steering actually felt way better, and it was very light all the way out to full steering lock, whereas before it got really hard near steering lock. The one modification I've done under here is running auxiliary power with a inline fuse, and it runs into the vehicle. And the reason I did that was because now I have the mirror and the CB, and I do intend to have more electronic accessories in the future. So I have the power come in, and it goes in here. It taps off this relay, which I don't remember what it was for, but it was something small that wasn't too much of a concern. And then I have a fuse box mounted up behind there. That's pretty much everything I've done under the hood. So now onto the interior. On the interior, I have made some very nice changes. There's some great things going on in here. Number one is I found a set of seats out of the junkyard from a 4Runner with 230,000 miles. Got some nice leather ones. They no longer have foam falling out, and they no longer have cigarette holes. They look fantastic. This one was a little torn up, but it's been repaired. You can see the color isn't exactly the same on the parts they repaired, but overall I'm happy with it, and it looks and works great. Since those came from a limited model, I decided to go ahead and get some of this marbled trim because I think it looks really nice in here. Also got the leather shift knob, and I got on the door panels as well as the center console, got this nice double stitching going on from the limited model parts. Now these seats are also heated, but I don't have the wiring for the heated, so I'm going to have to work on that. But I did grab the centerpiece that has these spare blanks for that, so I just have to figure out the wiring and make that work. I also now have an inverter, which I got from that same junkyard truck, and it plugged, all the components plugged right in and they worked. If you're going to do this and yours happens to have the wiring in place, you need to have the inverter itself, which is in the driver's side, in the trunk behind the panel on the side. You need the switch, you need the outlet that goes in the center console, and then you need the relay for under the hood. In mine and many other vehicles, it should just plug right in, but there are some that don't have the wiring, so check them before you spend the money. Also put in this double DIN head unit with built-in navigation from Jensen. It is a little buggy, but overall it works, and it's a whole lot better than the stock one with the broken volume knob. This is the mirror that caused me to have to get a new windshield. It's auto-dimming and has a built-in compass, and now it's all wired up and works fantastic. Now I showed you my CB antenna on the outside. Now on the inside, I keep the CB right in here in the center console. Since it's kind of quiet in there, I do have a speaker mounted here in this little tray in front. Makes use of a space that I didn't know what to use it for in the past. As far as interior modifications go, that's most of the stuff in the driver's compartment. I do have LED lights all throughout the interior, but you can't really show that in the daytime. And then of course the traction control off mod switch is down here. I still have to make the video on that, and I'm going to work on that very soon. Oh, and I did forget to mention, I got these OEM Toyota floor mats that nicely say 4Runner on them off Amazon. They're pretty cheap, so I'll link them down below. The WeatherTechs do cover a lot better, but they are a lot more expensive. If you just want it covered good enough, this is a great budget option. Then you can see in the back seat, same thing with those floor mats and the rear leather seats. Looks fantastic, bolts right up. Very happy with that. And then moving back to the trunk, I do have a WeatherTech trunk liner. I think this is a really high quality piece. It has the edges that go up a little bit, which I really need for the trunk because I have to put muddy RC cars or just generally wet stuff, so I don't want it to slop over the edges. I also put in a Rego mole panel on the driver's side, and I've got a 4-pound fire extinguisher hanging from there. This is a great thing to have with you on the trail, even if you completely trust your vehicle and don't think you're going to have issues. You never know what somebody else might have going on. Also finally found a place to put all my stickers, because that's important, right? You can't overland if you don't have stickers. Pretty sure that's everything I've done to the 4Runner lately. There are probably a couple other things I've forgotten, but nothing major. I'll keep you guys updated on what I plan to do in the future. Basically, the big thing is going to be that frame swap. So when that happens, you guys will definitely know about it, and it'll be hopefully a pretty cool series of videos. I'm not going to do a step-by-step, but I do intend to record as much as I can because it'll be pretty cool and a really major thing. If you guys have any comments, questions, or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comment box below. And if you like the video or want to see where this 4Runner is going in the future, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks, and have a great day. I forgot to mention, the best modification I've done was cut the muffler off.